This is the Infinite Receiving Podcast, helping conscious leaders like you tap into a wealth of abundance across all areas of your life and business. My name is Susie Ashworth. I am a single mom of 3 and author of the Sunday Times best-selling book, Infinite Receiving: Crack the Code to Conscious Wealth Creation and Finally Manifest Your Dream Life. On this show, I'll be sharing with you how you can upgrade your identity and your reality to create the life that you have been dreaming of. Because you are ready to be an infinite receiver. Hello, you gorgeous, gorgeous human beings. Welcome to the Infinite Receiving Podcast. With me, your host, Susie Mother Truckin' Ashworth. I am coming at you from a really excited place today. I had a really great meeting with my right hand lady, Sophie, who helps make everything work behind the scenes. And I really feel like things are shifting and evolving. And it feels really good to be able to look 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year into the future and be very conscious and intentional about every step that we are taking right now, knowing that that is leading us to where it is that we desire to go or somewhere even better. And this is such a different feeling to the feeling that I have experienced in the past when it comes to ambition and achievement, because the energy of what it is that one, looking to create, but where I am coming from is one of less equaling more. And this is really the foundational principles of infinite receiving, or at least one of them. And a Friday is a day that for years I have said that I desire to take off. And whilst it has been the case for many years that it's very rare that I have things scheduled into my calendar on a Friday. I am not off. I'm still engaging with the team. If I have an idea, I'm still popping into Voxer. If they need something that feels urgent, then they will come to me. And I really last week decided that Friday was not only going to be a calendar free day, but it was going to be a no contact day. I will not contact you and you will not contact me. And it was exquisite. I had a beautiful bodywork session, and then I went to Folkestone and I sat on the beach and I soaked in the sun. And then I came back and I just chilled and relaxed. And it really wasn't even about strategic thinking or big picture imagining. It was just about allowing myself to be and to not be responding to work calls. There were a couple of Voxers actually with my clients, but that again was very boundaried. To not have anything behind the scenes, to not be actively working on anything was a really, really delightful experience. And it speaks to just how much has changed in my world and in my life. I've been really observing the people that have been finding their way into our ecosystem, into Planet Zoos, particularly through the certification and all of the work that we are doing there. And as I'm listening to where these women have come from and what has been appealing and the journey that it has taken for them to get to this stage where they are willing to let go of what they knew in favor of creating a whole new existence from a whole new energy and a whole new way of being. It is both wildly inspiring and super relatable. It is so crazy to me. I feel so lucky and so fortunate that I now have a son who is 14 years old because it contextualizes how different my life was 15 years ago when I found out that I was pregnant with him. I don't think that if I had got pregnant, I would have left The Guardian. I would have stayed there in the media space, in advertising. I'm not sure that I would have ever left. I would have been the oldest rocker on the dance floor. Not quite, because you do have, the stalwarts that have been there for an eternity. But media in and of itself is quite a young industry. But it wasn't until I got pregnant with him that I thought to myself, things have to change. Up until that point, it was about the chase. It was, okay, what about this promotion? What about how can I get a little bit further along? How can I increase my salary? What do I need to do to be seen as a certain person or in a certain way? Like I was hungry for the business at that stage. And it's interesting to me, the women who come into my world, there has been a hunger, and then, 15 years in, 20 years in, it's just not the same anymore. They're bloody amazing at what it is that they do, highly, highly skilled, but that fire and addiction to achieving and getting the gold star and getting the pat on the head and getting the next promotion, it just isn't there anymore because for years they have been trying to quieten the little voice in the back of their head that says, I think that there's more. I think that there's more for you. I think that there's more for us. And this isn't it. And I think for me, I feel so grateful when I look back because it kind of felt pretty black and white. If I stayed working in my company, then I would have not seen my kids. And the money that I was getting paid would have gone straight into childcare. So the maths wasn't mathing. Like it literally didn't make sense. But if you didn't have that choice point, then I can see, at least from my own perspective, how easy it would have been just to stay on the treadmill. And then when like, you're no longer knee deep in, but you're in up to your neck and you've become what feels like institutionalized. It's like almost everything that you have ever known, at least when it comes to your career. That little voice that is saying, there's more here, there's more for you, you need to let go. You're just not fucking with it. It's like, well, what am I going to do? Why would I leave this level of security and safety? And I have so many responsibilities. So many people wait until they get made redundant rather than actually just taking the step because redundancy is it's the end of the road. You no longer have a choice. You can't ignore it. We love redundancies over here, but there is something very, very powerful in starting to forge a new path before you have to. And I think that when it comes to like the mindset of the entrepreneur, the mindset of the business owner, that jumping before you need to is really, really powerful. You know, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about that period in life where you are hearing the voice. Jung talks about it as well, that the call. Whereas in our lives, we have been driven by the external validation, the new car, the holiday, the bigger house. All of a sudden, that becomes less and less and less meaningful. And the call is to really go inwards and honor what is on the inside. The language shifts and we start thinking about and playing around with soul purpose. Like, why am I here? What is my purpose for being? Because it sure doesn't feel like this. For many people, that's just a very, very big conversation. And so they do what we did and, go move to Mexico or decide to travel around the world for a year. And there's nothing wrong with any of that stuff when you're coming at it from a really sound place of doing the inner work. But often it's a bit like, I'm too old to suggest let's have another baby, so I'm gonna do something radical to distract myself from that inner calling. I'm taking a stand. We as a company are taking a stand for your inner calling. Like, if you're listening to this today, this is your sign. This is your sign to go deeper, to listen. I was reading a book this morning, The White Book, and there was a quote in there that says, unlimited thinking and feeling, or the more unlimited your thinking and feeling becomes, the more unlimited your life will become. Oof. When I read that this morning, I was like, there is so much more life. There is so much more opportunity for us to go bigger. But it starts with that listening for to the inner voice. So you might be wondering, yeah, but how? How do we actually do this? And I want to introduce you to APE. I want you to ape your way into your purpose. The A in APE stands for acknowledgement. We are so often in denial that we want more because we feel guilty. There's guilt and there's shame about the fact that on paper, the life that we are living is something that you should be wildly, wildly grateful for. And so the idea of wanting more makes you feel selfish, makes you feel like an ungrateful human being. And I talk about this at the beginning of the book, the beginning of Infinite Receiving, that idea that it's greedy and it is wrong to not be in complete acceptance what it is that you have. And my stance is still the same. I believe that it is our innate and intrinsic way of being to desire to evolve. And we see this from the youngest of babies to the eldest of individuals who's still, 91-year-olds running the marathon and, doing triathlons and pushing themselves rather than just curling up and dying. Actually, it is our intrinsic makeup that requires us, that is always calling us to want to become the most fullest expression of what we can be. And in the being of our fullest expression, it doesn't negate anything that we have created or anything that we have done up until this point in time. And all that we have created, all of the steps that we've taken, everything that we have been able to manifest, it's like, yeah, I can be in deep, deep gratitude for that. Like, yay, me. Look at where I've come from. Look at how I've expanded. Look at what I have created. Look at what I have received. And especially when you have done the work to realize that what I create and what I receive is not connected to my intrinsic wealth. It is not connected to my innate self worth. I am priceless, and there is no achievement or accolade or medal that is ever going to be able to sustain a feeling of worthiness over a period of time. It's not. All of that gratitude or worth that is derived from an external achievement is fleeting. It is there for just a moment in time. And what you're left with after that moment in time has passed is you. So I got to be good with me. You have to be good with you. I have to know that I am worthy, irrespective of what is in my bank account. I have to know that I am deserving, even if I am not conventionally the most beautiful woman in the world. I have to know my value as a human being. Like when I step into the room and my gaze falls upon you, like that is a gift because I see your light. When I share my heart with you, you are never going to engage with another human with the same heart as me. And knowing that that is worthy and special and remarkable, irrespective of what I have externally achieved, like that's the work. So get to be grateful for everything that you have achieved externally and understand simultaneously that that has nothing to do with your intrinsic worth. And at the same time as being grateful for everything that you have achieved, everything that you have done, and most importantly, all that you have become as a human, understanding that the more unlimited your thinking becomes, the more unlimited your life becomes, and that it is safe and proper and correct for you to allow yourself to contemplate. I wonder what else is possible. I wonder who I would need to become to allow the next part of this dream to come to fruition. I wonder. Like that's where it starts. It starts with the acknowledgement. You might already have an idea. God, I would love to set up my own business. I would love for this business to be doing 6 figures a year. I would love to make my next 7 figures. I would love to be hosting international retreats. I would love, I would love. You may already have the idea. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge it. Stop ignoring it. The P in APE stands for permission. You're going to write out your own permission slip. And on that permission slip, it is going to say, permission granted for your name to follow the nudge. That's it. Permission granted. I can give you a permission slip, but what I've learned over the last 12 years of being in this business is that my permission slips will get you so far. Your permission slip is everything. So take this podcast as the permission slip for the next level. Understand that your permission slip, your self permission is what is needed for you to enter, for you to pass go, for you to get on the rocket ship, for you to create something new. It's your permission slip. And then the E in APE stands for expand. Expand into it. Now, in order for you to expand into your new identity, into the new dream, you have to be willing to let go. Your expansion requires space. So that means that you have to let go of sometimes people, sometimes it is people, processes, problems, perspectives, anything that isn't in alignment with who it is that you're becoming in order to step one step closer each and every day to the dream that you're acknowledging that you desire. Sometimes it is so clear and so easy, and other times it is so challenging and so hard because we are so deeply attached to our past. We are so deeply attached to the identity of who we have been that we find it difficult to allow ourselves to expand into who it is that we are becoming. And if that is you, you have to go back to the A in APE. You've got to acknowledge that this new version of you requires a different skill set. And for anybody who's listening to this and is like, God, that feels so scary. The thing that I want you to really hear is that what underpins every single thing that I teach and everything that I stand for, the thing that underpins every principle is love. It's the question becomes, what would love do? What would be the most loving thing to do in this circumstance? And I think that when you keep coming back to that, and the answer still isn't always easy, and the process, the choices that you make for some people, some of the time will feel really difficult and challenging. And you might even hear, if you loved me, you wouldn't do this. And you have a choice. It's a really powerful and profound choice, but I come back to this every single time I think about partnership, every single time I enter into a potential partnership with somebody and it doesn't feel quite right, even when I really like them, even when there feels like there could be so much potential. I really like you, but I really love myself more. And cultivating your self love and being a model for what that gets to look like from a loving place, I think is the biggest gift that you give to the world. When you have kids, it is the most important gift you can ever model for them. And when you are in relationship, really being able to come at your life from a place of love is never going to equate to dishonoring yourself. You can always honor yourself whilst honoring the partnership, always without exception. And if you haven't been doing that up until now, as many of the women who come into our world acknowledge, not deliberately, not in a negative way about their partnerships, but that story of, I have put every single person before myself and before my own heart for the last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. That is such a common story. And now it gets to change. Now we're doing something different. And that is why I am coming to you. Those stories, super, super common. And on the other side of that expansion is a revolutionary life change that is inspiring and motivating and activating and is really embedded in the frequency of aliveness, really living life, because you are on your pathway to purpose whilst allowing yourself to infinitely receive with every step that you take, consciously co-creating an existence beyond your wildest dreams. Like, this is the vibe. Is this not the vibe? Who doesn't want that? I want that. And I want that for you. Well, I love you so much. This has been such a joy to record. I hope that you are feeling inspired. I hope that you are ready to take your ape on board and really live. Go ape. That is what I want you to do. I want you to go ape, mofo. And if you have enjoyed this episode, then please share it with a friend. If you haven't left me a review yet, I would deeply, deeply appreciate you leaving me a review to help get the word out about everything that we are doing over here on the Infinite Receiving podcast. And in the meantime, please remember that faith plus action equals miracles.
Thank you for listening to Infinite Receiving with me, Susie Ashworth. I'd love to share with you my Infinite Receiving activation audio. Go to susieashworth.com/activate infinite receiving.